morning, Memphis. This is Best in Blue. This show is just like it sounds. We're talking to the best and brightest in the Memphis Police Department. In each episode, we do a deep dive into the various jobs within the department. And more importantly, we do a deep dive into the lives of the very human men and women behind the badge. And now, here's your host, Candace Gray.
We are here with Assistant Chief Sean Jones, better known as AC Jones. We are so excited to have you here today. Thank you for coming. We have a really exciting conversation that we are going to have. I have got some really juicy things that I'm going to ask AC Jones today. And, you know, one of the questions that we're going to ask is about, you know, where you're from and, you know, what you do for fun. And we're going to really get to know the man behind the badge. So stay tuned to Best in Blue. We'll be right back.
There's a new era in policing. Leading the way is the Memphis Police Department. Be part of the change and join MPD for a career in law enforcement. Protect and serve the people of our city. Protect the peace. Help us make a better and stronger Memphis. Live a life of meaning. Be the change. Join the Best in Blue.
Welcome back to Best in Blue. Today's guest is Assistant Chief Sean Jones. We are so excited to talk to you today. Welcome, AC Jones.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, like I said, we are going to get to know the man behind the badge.
That's scary.
Oh, no, it's not scary, but we are just going to, you know, talk to you a little bit about what you do, how we got here, and of course, some other really juicy questions that I have for you. Okay. So I do want to just start. Tell me a little bit about what you do currently at Memphis Police Department.
Okay, so I'm the assistant chief, and we have two assistant chiefs within the police department. One is over patrol operations, but I'm over all the administrative functions of the police department as well. So that would include like the budget, the training academy, your HR, and all of those functional things. But then I'm also in charge of your criminal investigations as well. Oh, wow. So like homicide and all your major crimes that occur, sex crimes, things of that nature. Okay. I manage all of those functions within the organization. Okay. And we just added a new function, strategies and special projects. So this allows us to, number one, write policy, and two is to look at some of the best practices around the United States and bring them into our operation and our organization.
That's amazing. I feel like that is something we definitely need. So yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad they got the right man in the position for that. I've read the bio. I know what you got going on over there. And I think it all started at Morris Brown.
Absolutely.
At HBCU.
1982.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and you're, I know you've spent a lot of time in Atlanta, but you're not actually from Atlanta.
So I'm not. I'm from a place called Waynesboro, Georgia. It's probably one of the second largest county in the state of Georgia. Okay. It's kind of like country.
Oh, so like a Mayberry, like that country?
It's not a Mayberry. You know, we got at least two major strips, and they kind of connect downtown. Oh, okay. We probably got about 3 or 4 traffic lights throughout the downtown area. You know what I mean? One of those type towns, but you know, it is a large town. I'm sorry, not a large town. It's a large county, small town. Right.
And, so when you went to Atlanta, you were going to the big city.
Oh, absolutely. Went to the big city. Yeah. Didn't want to go back home. Because, you know, back in my hometown, most of the things there at that time were manufacturing companies and stuff at that time. Yeah. So the possibilities and opportunities were not the same as going to a city like Atlanta, giving you more, you know, possibilities and opportunities.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So how did you get there? You know, your parents, how did they get you to college?
I guess that's the easy part. My mom, my mom has always been on the academic side for the most part. Okay. But she was the one who actually drove me from my hometown to college, dropped me off, you know, I don't know if she cried when she left or not, but she dropped me off. I'm sure she probably did, you know, because when I first left home, I felt some sort of way because I had never been away from my family. So all of my family, for the most part, live in Waynesboro.
Waynesboro, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is my first time detaching. So I was like one of the first in the family to kind of like detach from the family. Yeah. So that was amazing. A different situation for me being a 18-year-old at the time. Sure. Doing that.
Sure. Yeah. And what was your college experience like at an HBCU in Atlanta?
Well, I say like right here, I always tell everybody, your first 2 years, you want to stay on college campus. And so you have a lot of freedom quite naturally as a freshman being on campus, a lot of African Americans on campus, so you get a chance to interact. High school was a little different because, it was a combination of African Americans as well as, European Americans at the same time. Okay. It was integrated when I first started, but just being on all African American campus was kind of different and unique, and just that whole experience was different. And it's kind of exciting, especially when being away from home, which was in the country. Right. And we didn't even have like malls or any major restaurants or things of that nature. So, so that was different. Then I had freedom. Right.
Oh, and you had all kinds of, the underground in Atlanta?
Well, I think the underground was not open when I first got there. Okay. It opened up later in my law enforcement career because it had burned at a period of time, and they kind of left it dormant over a period of time.
Okay. Yeah. Is it, I see you have a wedding ring on. I do. Did you meet your wife in college, or was that later?
Well, it was later. Okay. I met her, after college and stuff. Okay. Of course she went to another college. She went to Georgia State University. Okay. So she was a student there. Of course, I was a student at Morris Brown, et cetera. Yeah. But, we kind of met, during that time after that.
So tell me, after going to school, what made you decide to go into law enforcement? How did we get here?
Well, ironically enough, my field was really public relations for the most part. So I was looking for a job in public relations, and I was, struggling. I had gone to this, I was struggling. But so I kind of tell you what happened. I had gone to Atlanta Public Schools, and I had actually applied for a job, a public relations job there. Yeah. I had taken the test. They gave me various tests that I had to take. While I was waiting for that position, one of my classmates was a criminal justice major. Okay. And we met outside of the college one day. That was like a common meetup spot. And he said, hey, while you're waiting for your other job, you can apply for policing because, they just hired me. He was criminal justice. So if your job comes first, you can go with your job. If not, you become a police officer. So, I thought about it. I didn't really like law enforcement, but I thought about it. So I said, hey, I want a job. I want to do something different. Hey, I'm finished college now. Yeah. So I actually applied for the job. I got the job. But interestingly enough, in January, so I started in December. Okay. Right. I first tested during the summer months for the Atlanta public school system. Right. Okay. So what happened was, after I got my first check from the city of Atlanta, I get a letter from the school system, with follow-up interest. Yeah. But the difference was this. Here's what the difference is. It's simple, but Atlanta was paying $17,000 and the school system was paying $16,000. Wow. And I was not going to go backwards.
You're like, I've already got a good thing going on.
So that's how I got here.
Wow. And how many years later has it been?
Well, 36 years later.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Are you still in touch with that friend?
Oh, absolutely. We're best friends.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, we're best friends. Yeah. And is he still a police officer too?
So he left policing and he went to the district attorney's office, and he just retired last year from the district attorney's office.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I have a really fun fact that I want to share with our listeners. So it sounds like in Atlanta, someone else we know was also in the force in Atlanta, Chief Davis. Yes, yeah. And I hear that you came to Memphis with Chief Davis.
I did.
Is that true?
I did. I came to Memphis with Chief Davis. Okay. Yeah, she and I, we go back. I think we first became acquainted in about 1997. Okay. particular time, I was at the training academy, and my job was really to teach the recruits. And one of my specific classes that I taught was Georgia criminal law. Okay. So she was my co-teacher for that class. So that's how we united for the most part. Okay. And at the end of the class, interestingly enough, we would play like a Jeopardy game, and I call it like my Vanna White. You know, I would be the leader. You know, she'd be like the Vanna White. Black. Vanna Black. You know, in that class. But, you know, since that time, you know, we had the opportunity to work together several times. You know, when I worked at Hartsfield-Jackson, I was the major at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. So I oversaw the airport and the policing there and all the police officers, about 155 of us. But she was my number 2.
Oh, wow. Wait a second. So she's your boss now, but you were her boss at some point.
So she was my number 2.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, she was a blessing to be there because the airport is so busy.
Well,
you know,
it's
a
the
business.
number 1 airport in the world.
Right. And it's ran like a business.
Wow.
And so a lot of our business knowledge and training, they really included both of us in that to, you know, kind of help us grow and develop. Yeah. But she was able to do various tasks. Okay. Then I could go and do other tasks. Sure. And, you know, collectively we're able to get all the business of the airport, you know, all the business done though, without me having to try to focus on every aspect of it. So she was like a, you know, lifesaver to be there to kind of help out with some of the things that were going on.
That's amazing. You know, well, when we come back, we are going to talk more about that and how you guys collaborate to make the city of Memphis better. Okay, absolutely. But before we go, I have a question for you. Sure. Now, I know that you started the Citizens Police Academy in Atlanta. Right. And I want to know what that is and if you think something like that in Memphis is needed and can succeed. Right. So think about that, and we will be right back. You are listening to Best in Blue, presented by the Memphis Police Department and empowered by Kadzukian. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with AC Jones.
Success in life is not a straight line. There are twists and turns in everyone's life, and the more you know about their story, the more you'll understand the process. Kadzukian Media Group proudly presents The Journey, a show that features successful Black men in Memphis telling their stories of their lives and the ups and downs they've encountered on their ultimate road to success. We believe The Journey will encourage young men and help them see that life is a journey. Watch The Journey, hosted by me, Larry Robinson. Brought to you by the Kadzukian Media Group in partnership with the Delta Boulay.
There's a new era in policing. Leading the way is the Memphis Police Department. Be part of the change and join MPD for a career in law enforcement. Protect and serve the people of our city. Protect the peace. Help us make a better and stronger Memphis. Live a life of meaning. Join the Best in Blue.
My name is Lieutenant Tina Halfacre.
I'm Officer Andrade. My rank is P2P.
Officer Christopher Freeman.
I am Officer Meeks. I am a P2.
My name is Sergeant Lee.
Officer Baruga. I'm a patrol officer.
I am Officer Shauna Roden, and I've been a Memphis police officer for 3 years.
36 years.
8 months.
I've been with the Memphis Police Department for 8 years.
12 years.
The people that I come in contact with, I see them either at Walmart, if I go to a gas station and get a snack, whatever it may be, I run into the same people and they remember me. And that's I don't know, it's a comfort for me that someone remembers me and that I've had some type of positive impact on someone.
My favorite part is being a police officer is being in the motorcycles unit. I am the first and only female. I love riding motorcycles, and that way you get to meet a lot of people. Memphis is where I'm from, and I love my city. So why wouldn't I serve my city?
안녕하세요. 저 이름은 Sergeant Lee입니다. Join the Best in Blue.
Join the Best in Blue. If I can do it, tú también lo puedes hacer.
Join the Best in Blue so you can ride along with me.
It doesn't matter where you're from. Memphis Police Department is going to give you the opportunity to be here, to get more than a job. They give you opportunity to get a career.
For anybody that wants to apply and have a heart for service, go ahead and make the decision. Don't hesitate on it. It'll be the best decision you've ever made, and come join the Best in Blue.
Be the change. Join the Best in Blue.
Welcome back to Best in Blue. We are so excited to get back into this conversation with AC Jones. And we left you with a cliffhanger question. That question was the Citizens Police Academy in Atlanta. You were very instrumental in starting that. Do you think that is something that Memphis could benefit from? Is it already happening? Is it on the horizon? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I do believe in the Citizens Police Academy. I do think it's something that Memphis can benefit from, especially all the citizens. And really what it does, it's already here in the city. And I had an opportunity just to observe some of what they do, but it gives these citizens an opportunity to learn more about the police department. When we start talking about some of the sensitive issues like use of force, you know, we put them in situations where they actually have to use force themselves and see the split second decision that an officer has to make. You know, a lot of times it's easy to sit home and say, well, they should have did this and they should have did that. But when you're having to make that same decision, you give you a better perspective. And what happens is when these citizens go through our Citizens Police Academy, they become our mouthpieces in the community. And, you know, they can say, hey, well, you know, I know how they train. I know what they do. I've worked closely with those officers and stuff. So they can kind of vouch for us. This is why they do what they do.
And
they can kind of explain it. It's harder for us to explain it, especially during a crisis. But people who are not involved in that crisis can explain those situations a little bit better than we can. You know, so I think it's beneficial. And that's something that each of our 9 precincts, each one of them, it gives us an opportunity to have at least 100 or more people go through at one time. So that's much larger than what we would do in Atlanta. We may feel like 32, but by having it at each precinct, you can have 30 or more at each precinct. Right. So it gives us a larger I guess, supporters from the community and stuff. And we try to maintain contact with them as we go through different things. And they help us.
Well, and I think that is one of the things that we need more of is more transparency, more collaboration so that people can understand, you know, this is what we're doing to try to help. And this is where we're going. So have you seen any early success with the program so far?
Well, you know, we've had a few incidents in our city. And I think that because we have a clergy academy that really follows that same model. And, you know, when we go through some of the tough times, they're there for us. To say what, you know, to kind of help vouch for us in terms of what they know.
That third party validation that
we
PR
can't do ourselves.
To have,
but they can do it better for us. So it's beneficial to the police department. And we recommend it.
That's great. Now, I know that you and Chief Davis, as we talked about just a minute ago, you guys really work well together. What in the world made you decide to come to Memphis with Chief Davis, knowing, you know, what you were kind of getting into? Did you know what you were getting into, or did you not know? Like, how did it go?
So I'm answering the last part of that question first. I did not know what I was getting into. All I knew that, you know, I had a friend of mine was asking me, you know, to come help her. In order to come, quite naturally, I had to socialize that with my wife. So my wife and I, we had an initial agreement that kind of went sideways to a degree, but you know, she approved of me coming. So had she not approved of me coming, I wouldn't be here. If I had school age kids, I wouldn't be here because of the, you know, my obligation would be to the kids, you know, during that time. But you
have adult children?
I have adult children. Yeah. So.
And now you say your wife approved of you coming.
Well, it was it's supposed to be a joint. But she's not here. No, my wife, she's back. She's back home.
She's back. What?
Yeah, she's back home. I did see her last weekend, by the way. But she is back home.
So you guys have a long distance relationship?
Yeah. So I never thought I would have a long distance relationship. So I learned something from that, though. I learned never to say I wouldn't do something because here I am doing the exact thing that I said I wouldn't do. You know what I mean? But like, again, you know, she did approve of it and, you know, and she knows Chief Davis as well. So it was like a friend call, asked, she was right there when I got the phone call, you know, we socialized that. Then, you know, she said, hey, you know, I don't have a problem with it. I can do it. Yeah. But again, I didn't know what I was getting into, but it's no big deal. I think that's probably why Chief called me. Like, she probably knew more than I knew. Right. And she
knew she needed someone she could trust.
Yeah, she probably needed someone she can trust, but she knew that I would be up for any challenge put forth. She knows that, and I don't back away from those things. Right.
Welcome to Memphis. We got a couple challenges here. So with her coming in, and you kind of came with Chief Davis.
Right.
How did you guys maneuver through, being the new kids on the block? How's that going?
Yeah, well, you have to learn, have to come in and observe first, and you kind of have to learn who you're working with, learn the city, learn the people, the community, politicians. I mean, everybody involved in the process. It's a learning thing for us. And when we first got here, it was like learning on steroids, because they were introducing us to everybody, everything,
And you had to move quickly, right?
Right. We had to move quickly, but then we knew we got to a point where we needed to slow down, because if we were going to do some business and transact business in this city, we had to slow down, strategize, and be able to move us forward and stuff. So we were able to do that. But after we got here, we, started interacting with the people and establishing those relationships with our staff.
Sure.
Then we've got that momentum and that traction that we needed from them to be able to do what we need to do.
Excellent. So really it was a matter of kind of building your allegiance and getting people kind of on your side so that you could then affect change.
Right. Absolutely. Without that, you can't go anywhere. You have to, the leader's about influence. And if the leader can't influence you, you're not going to move anywhere.
Absolutely.
So coming in, like I said, again, understanding them, this is a unique situation because most of the people on the command staff had actually applied for the job.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So some of them probably wanted the job, but she had to come in and win them over and let them know that they're safe in their environments and stuff. And we're here just about the business of making this city safe, as safe as we possibly can.
Absolutely. So I know that over the weekend, we're in Memphis in May, and we had a big festival, and people are saying that it was successful from a crime standpoint, keeping things at bay. What was your strategy? What was you all's strategy for that?
Well, that's more on the law enforcement side.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I was at a conference. I was doing a panel.
Oh, wow.
And I was out of town last week, and I actually flew in after the fact.
Okay.
But what happens? Oh, absolutely. But what happens is for any plan that we have in the city, our special operations, they kind of manage that, and we have a plan for all events. We do Memphis in May each and every year, so we pretty much use the same strategies, making sure we got available manpower and resources in those critical areas. In the event something happens, we'll be there. Hopefully nothing would happen, but we're there. We're in position to address whatever crimes or concerns that may arise.
Wonderful. So I know that you are kind of on the administrative side, and I know that your education kind of played a role in that. Can you talk a little bit about how important education is at the police department?
Oh, absolutely. I think education is very important. I tell this story. I say when I was in junior high school, I took typing, and I never knew why I took typing.
And
I took typing too. I never knew. But then, in my role, what I do now, quite natural, I'm using the computer, writing policies and things of that nature, understanding budgets and things of that nature, and, how to manage that budget, and all that's important. Without that educational background in those areas and some of my experiences where I've had opportunity to actually, materialize some of those things, I wouldn't be able to do it in this particular role. But education is key. We stress education in terms of coming on the police department.
Wonderful.
It also gives you the opportunity to rise up through the ranks, especially when you're taking promotional tests and things of that nature. It's a written test. So you have to be able to receive the information, analyze that, and answer that question correctly in order to make a passing score.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in terms of recruitment, I know there've been a couple challenges with recruitment. One of the things I heard about was a take-home, car program, and that's interesting because in Memphis, if you don't have a car, it's so spread out. We don't have a good public transportation system. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we are doing a great job, I think, now in terms of recruiting. We're getting more people, really trying to come into the field. We thought it would be going in a different direction, but we are. So we have the take-home car is really one of the incentives that we have. That allows officers who live in the community to take a car home, which gives greater visibility in the community, which gives a greater sense of calm and safety for the residents in the community, that they know that there's a policeman on their block, there's a policeman in their community, and we got these little blue lights on those cars as well. And you can see these little blue lights, these little side lights from a distance. So when citizens are driving, if they can see that car, they feel pretty much safer, working in that interacting in that particular environment.
That's wonderful.
But the officers are excited about those take-home cars.
That's good. And I know there's some other incentives also.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about
absolutely.
that?
So we're giving you $10,000. Well, actually $15,000 if you join the police department.
Okay.
If you don't live in Memphis and you move into Memphis, you get $10,000 for a relocation bonus.
Wonderful.
Right. But you still, on top of that, because we've been getting raises. We got a 5% raise last year. We're going to get either a 5 or a 14% raise this year on top of that.
Amazing.
We were getting 5.999 for 5 years, 9% for 5 years, but that's been converted into a 14% raise.
Amazing.
And I think what's going to do is going to make us like the highest paid law enforcement entity in the region.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, AC Jones, it has been a pleasure talking to you today. And we are just about out of time. But I do have one last question.
Yes.
What would you say are your favorite 3 things about Memphis?
All right. So one, I have to go with my number one is the Civil Rights Museum. And that's because of Martin Luther King. Keep in mind, I'm from Atlanta, right?
Yes.
And my first mayor was who? Andy Young.
That's right. Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And quite naturally, then we grew up, then when I worked at one of my precincts, I was right next door to Jose Williams. You know what I mean? So we kind of grew up with all the civil rights workers during that particular time as young law enforcement officers in Atlanta. So that I'm connected to that.
Yes.
Then connected back to the HBCU, things of that nature. So those connectivities there are very strong as it relates to that.
So a cultural tie.
Yeah. So I like that. So I guess I do like I like basketball.
Okay.
So I do like the Memphis Grizzlies as well. I like John Morant. I think he's a great player.
Yeah. They had a good run.
Yeah, had a good run. I mean, hey, we got next year. He's still young. The team is young. I think they're going to pull it together and do some great things.
I think so too.
Other than that, I guess if I say my last thing that I like probably, so I kind of live in Harbortown, and I like living on the water, near the water. It's relaxing for me, etc. It's an outdoor environment. So I kind of like that, for me personally.
Yeah, being on the river it is one of our best assets in the city, I would say.
Yeah, so I do like that.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Assistant Chief Sean Jones. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and getting to know the man behind the badge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Best in Blue. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to learn more about our police department and the men and women behind the badge. Be sure to like us and follow us across all of our social media platforms and listen to the show wherever you stream your podcasts. We're at Best in Blue MPD on Instagram and Best in Blue on Facebook. Thanks again, AC Jones, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
This is Memphis Police Chief CJ Davis encouraging you to join our Best in Blue. Our requirements are achievable, our standards are the highest, and our officers are the finest. Check out opportunities to join our police department at joinmpd.com.